All right, and good Sunday evening. It is 3:05, the 22nd of March, 2026, and today's war report. And I'm gonna do something different today and every other day as we cover this war report. What I'm gonna do is acknowledge the American service members um, who have lost their lives in this conflict. We hear a lot about a lot of different things, but we don't hear about or a lot of times get to know the names of the service members lost in connection with this conflict going on between Iran, America, and the Israelis. Major Jeffrey R. Osborne, excuse me, Major Jeffrey R. O'Brien, U.S. Army Reserve. Captain Cody Cork, U.S. Army Reserves. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robert Marzan, U.S. Army Reserve. Master Sergeant Nicole M. Amore, U.S. Army Reserve. Sergeant First Class Noah, I can't pronounce the last name, U.S. Army Reserve. Sergeant Declan Cody, U.S. Army Reserve. Sergeant Benjamin N. Pennington, U.S. Army. Major John A. Alex Klenner, U.S. Air Force. Major Ariana Savino, U.S. Air Force. Technical Sergeant Ashley B. Pruitt, U.S. Air Force. Captain Seth R. Koval, Ohio National Guard. Captain Curtis Angst, Ohio National Guard. Master Sergeant Tyler H. Simmons, Ohio National Guard. Let us not forget the name of those servicemen and women who have given the ultimate, given it all in this battle. Um, right or wrong, again, that's not what we do as servicemen and women. We just go where we're told to go serve. We don't get into the politics of it, and so just wanted to acknowledge those men and women, and I'm going to do that throughout the show by running their names across the top over here as we transition into what is currently going on the ground uh, in this conflict. All right, this is your daily war report on the ongoing conflict involving Iran, Israel, and the United States. The war has moved into its fourth week, and while the military fighting continues on multiple fronts, the most significant development remains expansion of the conflict into energy infrastructure, shipping routes, and economic pressure. What began as a targeted military, what began as targeted military strikes has now evolved into a broader strategic battle affecting the global energy system. Over the past 24 hours, airstrikes inside Iran have continued, with Israeli and U.S. forces targeting targeting missile facilities, military logistic sites, and command structures believed to be coordinating attacks against Israel and allied forces in the region. Military officials say the objective remains to reduce Iran's missile capabilities and disrupt its ability to conduct sustained attacks. At the same time, Iran has continued to respond with missile and drone launches aimed at Israel's air raid siren, aimed at Israel. Air raid sirens were reported again across multiple cities in Israel. Air defense systems intercepted many of the incoming threats. However, some of the projectiles still managed to strike targets, causing damage and injuries. The pattern of daily strikes and retaliation remain unchanged, indicating that both sides are continuing active combat operations. And it was said the other day that the Iran launched some missiles that at at actually at Diego Garcia. Hold on a second here. Let me. All right, sorry about that, guys. But what I was saying is that the Iranians launched some missiles at Diego Garcia, which was thought to be outside of their missile range capability. And to a lot of people's surprise, it was well within the range of those missiles. So that's something that we got to keep an eye on. But let's talk about the energy and energy infrastructure is now the central battlefield. Okay. And of course, we talking energy infrastructure, we talking that Strait of Hormuz, and you can see by the map how close. I mean, there's just a gulf that separates Iran from Saudi Arabia, from Iraq, from Dubai, from all these different places, the United Arab Emirates. But here we go. The most important strategic shift in the war is the continued targeting of energy infrastructure. Recent attacks on Iran's South Pars gas and associated facilities marked a turning point. South Pars is one of the largest natural gas fields in the world and supplies a major portion of Iran's domestic energy needs. Striking a facility like this moves the conflict beyond the military operation and into the economic warfare. Energy infrastructure is critical in modern society. It powers homes, it powers factories, it powers transportation, it powers hospitals, communication networks, When energy becomes a target, the consequences are not limited to the battlefield for the people that signed up for it, basically. They spread outward into the global economy. Iran has responded by warning energy facilities throughout the region. And you can see on this map right here, throughout the region, that, basically you guys are on the table now. Okay. You align with these people that we're fighting with, um, which is basically raising concerns about refineries, export terminals, and we talk about it basically every day on this podcast, the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most sensitive points in the conflict. This narrow waterway, and you can see there, this is a great map that illustrates how narrow of a waterway this is. And just by looking at this, the ship that I was on, you guys been hearing about the Abraham Lincoln. Back when I was on the Abraham Lincoln, we served in I served in the Persian Gulf on the Abraham Lincoln, and I mean, you're talking about a 19-year-old kid that just, I don't know what, I was along for the ride. I had no idea. I know we went to Dubai, we went to Jebel Ali, but if if somebody would have said, "Man, you were that close to Iran," I would have, you know, it's amazing. But anyway, back to the report. The Strait of Hormuz remains the most sensitive point in the conflict. This narrow waterway carries roughly 20% of the world's oil supply. While shipping has not stopped completely, traffic remains reduced. And when they say that, it's stopped for any ship associated with America. Okay, that the Iranians have threatened to fire on any ships associated with us or Israel. And while shipping has not completely stopped, the traffic remains reduced to military tension. And another point is that the Iranians are talking about, if you coming through there, they're not, you got to pay in something outside of the dollar, which is a whole petrodollar conversation. And I don't want to get out sidetracked, and I apologize. Okay, while the shipping has not stopped, like I said, completely, um, naval forces from several countries are now maintaining a heightened presence in the region to ensure continued movement of commercial vessels. Because what happens is, if these people can't get their oil in their country, these governments are going to start experiencing unrest, like, hey man, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? Somebody need to do something, and it's gonna spiral out of control. Even partial disruption of the corridor has major effect on global markets, and you guys are seeing it and feeling it directly every time you go to that pump. I know if you're like me, you've reconsidered some spring break travel plans and all this other good stuff, because it's just not. It's this is why we're feeling this. Okay, so the economic consequences of this war becoming more is becoming more visible. Energy markets remain volatile. Again, the gas prices. That's what we feel that. I don't know how many of y'all deal in the markets, but we dealing that. Put some gas in my car market, and we're all feeling that. Okay. Um, Energy markets remain volatile. Traders react to the possibility of further disruption in the Gulf region, because from the report that I just gave you, there is no de-escalation going on. They're escalating. High oil prices eventually work their way through the economy. They affect gasoline prices, airline fuel cost, shipping and freight, manufacturing, and food distribution. Food distribution. For ordinary people around the world, this translates to higher cost of living and increased economic pressure because energy is connected to almost every part of the modern economy. Even a regional conflict can produce global consequences. And that's what we are all experiencing right now. That's what we're all experiencing right now. All right. Another key concern remains the possibility that the war could expand further across the region. And I don't know why they keep saying that that's a possibility when in fact it has already. And again, they're talking about now the Iranian capability. Them guys showed that, hey, y'all thought we had some 250-mile missiles. Now we got some 2,500-mile missiles, and they move at Mach dot 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 dot. You know what I mean? Iran aligned groups in Lebanon and elsewhere remain active, and military forces across the Gulf region remain on heightened alert. Several governments have urged restraint and diplomacy, warning that continued escalation could draw additional actors into the conflict. At the moment, however, both sides appear committed to military operations. And those military operations include attacking gas facilities. Again, Iran fired off one today at Diego Garcia, which is quite a distance from us, and it was just basically a show off. We had a Navy ship that caught it, but yeah, just kind of showing off. So we're gonna bring this home right here. All right. So the bottom line right now, the conflict between Israel and the United States and Iran is no longer limited to military targets. Energy systems are on the table, and of course, that's going to continue to cause a worldwide economic energy crisis. And Iran does not look like they look like they've been preparing for this. Okay, and so listen, I want to put. Yeah, I didn't go too much over time, but because this war has all kinds of different aspects to it, and I know a lot of you went to church today, and I hope you had a good time, good service, and all that good stuff. But there's something that in this war that keeps coming up. There's a religious aspect of the war that keeps coming up, and people are religiously connected to let's just say the Jews, right? Because of biblical promises or something that is way above my pay grade. So I have to do studying and try to figure out what's going on. But I found something interesting. I know the Jews, the Jewish, one of their books that they follow is the Talmud, right? It's a bunch of teaching that goes way, 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 way back. And I've heard some things and just did some research, but I saw this video today, and I'm gonna share this with you guys because I thought that and I wondered, well, why did Mel Gibson catch so much hell for doing that story, The Passion of the Christ? I thought everybody liked Jesus. You know what I mean? I thought JC was the guy. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, I ran across this video today, and this video is from, let me give this brother here some credit here. Y'all send y'all emails to him. It's called The Bizarre. Oh, no, no, no. The name of the video is okay. There's up in the Verillium, Vrillium. But the name of the video is The Bizarre World of the Talmud, Talmud. And so let's go.
Now, here's the big one. All of you have been waiting for this. I know this is the one you're thinking of. Onkelos then went and raised Jesus the Nazarene, Jesus Christ. Let me note, he is referred to throughout the Talmud several times as Jesus the Nazarene or Jesus of Nazareth. This is, again, mind you, Christ means Messiah. And obviously, Jews don't believe that he's the Messiah, but he gets mentioned as Jesus the Nazarene, which is to say, Jesus, that guy from Nazareth. Jesus said to him, their welfare you shall seek, their misfortune you shall not seek. For anyone who touches them is regarded as if he were touching the apple of his eye. Basically, he's warning Onkelos, saying, I touched them, I messed with them, don't do it. Like, it's really bad. They are the apple of his eye. They are God's favorite. Onkelos said to him, what is the punishment for you? Jesus said to him, he is punished with boiling excrement. As the master said, anyone who mocks the words of the sages, the rabbis, will be sentenced to boiling excrement. And that was his sin as he mocked the words of the sages. The Gemara then comments, come and see the difference between the sinners of Israel and the prophets of the nations of the world. As Balaam, who was a prophet, wished Israel harm, whereas Jesus the Nazarene, who was a Jewish sinner, sought their well-being. Now, that's important to note because they're saying here, Balaam actively tried to hurt Israel, the Jewish people in the Bible, and he's punished. Now, they claim that Jesus was seeking the well-being of Jews, but he was wrong. He wasn't the Messiah, and he was wrong, and he made fun of the rabbis, or really, he questioned the rabbis. In trying to do what was right, he questioned the rabbis, which was the worst thing you can do. And that's why he receives the worst punishment of all. So yes, they do. If you've heard that they believe he's boiling in shit, yes, not only do they believe that specifically because he questioned the rabbis. The questioning that's being referred to here, if you read the New Testament, you know, when Jesus speaks to the Pharisees, he who is without sin shall cast the first stone, all that is what they're referring to. Because he did that, Jews believe.
Not my Jesus. I know better than that. I know better than that now. I know better than that. So what I say is, hey, just do a little bit more research. And yeah, because the reality is, I don't know what they over there doing, but I do know that we have to remember these men and women that's scrolling across the top of the screen that paid the ultimate price in this conflict. And so that's what I'm going to do with these war reports is I'm going to start off by remembering those who have given the ultimate price, paid the ultimate price in this conflict right here. Again, I started with Major Jeffrey O'Brien, Captain Cody Cork, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Robert Marzan, U.S. Army Reserve, Master Sergeant Nicole M. Amore, U.S. Army Reserve, Sergeant First Class Noah L. Teton, I think that is, U.S. Army Reserve, Sergeant DeClan J. Cody, U.S. Army Reserve, Sergeant Benjamin N. Pennington, U.S. Army, Major Alex Klenner, U.S. Air Force, Major Ariana Savino, U.S. Air Force, Technical Sergeant Ashley B. Pruitt, U.S. Air Force, Captain Seth R. Koval, Ohio Air National Guard, Captain R.J. Inkst, Ohio Air National Guard, excuse me. And Master Sergeant Tyler H. Simmons, Ohio Air National Guard. Again, let's not forget their families. And that's our daily report for today.